Hey everybody, welcome to the Amoko podcast, where we bring you some of the best stories in the land of opportunity, BW. I'm here with Raymond, my pen. Did I do it right?
Guys,
Why did you laugh? I was about to add more to it.
Okay, guys, no, we have to do this thing the other way around. This guy's a podcaster, so you can't just come here and expect me to do everything. I had to make sure that you guys introduction. Okay, thank you so much, Mpho.
Thanks,
Welcome
man.
to the show, man.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I want you to speak about is that I want you to take me through your journey in relation to what you do.
My entrepreneurial journey, or like deep dive, or what?
Good as long as it can relate to the entrepreneurial journey. I get it, something can be personal, but at the same time it relates into the
entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, to that.
I think my entrepreneurial journey since started in 2018. 2017, kind of going into 2018. Yeah, I was in varsity. We were both in the same class. I was studying VBA, entrepreneurship and enterprise development. So, well, for me, it was kind of, I don't know, it's quite interesting how it started, because I think it was anger and also a bit of disappointment, because what I realized early on, when I started the course, was that, what I'd expected, this is what I got, wasn't exactly what I thought would be the course. So it kind of disappointed me. So I just decided, I'm just gonna do this thing by myself. So I started studying books. I started reading books. I started studying other entrepreneurs that I felt like were doing something that I would like to do, or were inspiring me in some kind of way, shape, or form. So I started going out like that. Although, obviously, when I finished the course, I realized, okay, there's a lot that I learned from this. But at that point in time, I was disappointed. So that's also kind of how Deep Dive started, because I went out to, CEOs. I'll just knock on the door and be like, hey, or just find somebody who knew him. I'll just find CEOs in my circle, or people that knew some of those people by Longkot. I felt like they were doing great. And I'd just ask them questions. And just sit down with them and ask them questions. How did you manage to do this? How did you manage to do that? So that's kind of how it progressed. And then I started a lot of things, a lot of businesses. I'm at least 10, and at least 10 to be honest, in varsity. At least 10. I started a lot of things, an online store, affiliate marketing, all these other things.
I remember you telling me about
Yeah, but the online store is the one that really took off, and then COVID hit. It caused a problem. And then Deep Dive started in 2021, February. To be precise, we started shooting. Our first guest was Kagiso Morokotso of Morok's Properties. Actually, we'll be having a part 2 with him this next week.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's going to be quite a full circle moment. So I'm really excited about that. I started interviewing. We started doing the Deep Dive from then, and then we stopped in May. But then this year we came back, and then we actually went on to YouTube. But apart from Deep Dive, I also have a tutoring company in Boat. So I tutor kids from standard 1 to form 5. We do in-person tutoring. We do house-to-house calls, and we also do virtual tutoring. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're also trying to inculcate entrepreneurship and all these other lessons in. There's times where I don't even teach. There's times where I'm just there, just talking maybe mindset, talking maybe this, just lessons, just life lessons to the kids, and I think they really appreciate those. So this basically is what I'm involved in, the main things I'm involved in. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting. You spoke something about the course that you're doing. It's funny how I explained the same thing also.
Yeah.
Because when you go into an entrepreneurship course, there's what you expect. This is how things are going to be. I was kind of disappointed too.
Yeah.
But I'd like you to speak more about it. Or what were you really expecting when you said, I want to do entrepreneurship course?
I was expecting these guys to give us money. I'm joking, but I was expecting, I was expecting to be doing cold calls. I was expecting to be going out, talking to people, doing sales, handing out flyers. A lot of hands-on thing, because the way I believe entrepreneurship to be, it's not a lot of, just, of course, there's a lot of where you sit down and you do that, but I'm expecting it to be more hands-on. and less theoretical, because there are a number of things that I think you'd agree that some of the things that we would learn, we find that they're a bit outdated in terms of how the world is set up nowadays and in terms of where the world is going. So a lot of the things would be, sometimes you'd find that you may be taught by somebody who's not necessarily engaged in owning a business, because it's different from you just talking about business and then you having a business and running it and having that exposure, having that experience, and that real life exposure to business. There's a difference in the way you talk about it and in the way you teach it, but I'm not trying to to sound like they did a 100% lousy job. No, of course there's areas that can be improved, and then there are those, I've also had great lecturers. I think you too have great lecturers. There's great lectures that we have had that really taught us a lot, So for me, that disappointment came. I think that's also why I really found my path. When I started in UB, I just knew I wanted to do business, but I didn't know business how and in what sense. But I knew I was very passionate about this thing called business, and I'd like to own my own things. So when starting out, I actually applied for supply chain and management, and entrepreneurship was my second option. I don't know why they never take the first option. They never take it. So they took me for my second option, and I think because I probably would have flunked out if I had done any other course, because already even just entrepreneurship, it's any lawyer, so it's in school. I could come a month later, because I was also. My focus was now I'm just gonna do this thing here, right? Also because when you're studying entrepreneurship, you remember we didn't have attachment, so I don't know, maybe it's the only course, or it's maybe one of the few courses that don't have attachment. So it's actually telling us that we should actually be going out into the marketplace and performing. So while studying entrepreneurship, I expected a lot from the course to take me to a level where I felt like when I leave, I actually thought we would have this whole Shark Tank thing in fourth year, and we'd be pitching to invest. I don't know if they told us. They tell us that, it's something that was in my mind. I don't know. I can't even differentiate.
I think it was in your mind. Did they promise us that?
I don't know if they promised us that, but in my mind, I had this idea of it would be like a Shark Tank thing. You'd come with your pitch, and then you'll tell them, I'm asking for X amount of investment, for X amount of shares in my company, that kind of thing, But I guess I watched too many movies, so that's my fault. But anyway, I think also I think also there has to be some work done in terms of making it more hands-on and practical. Right. Yeah, hands-on and practical. Because once you leave and go into the market will teach you what to do. The market will humble you. You'll have to learn how to cold call. You have to get a lot of no's, because I think we also weren't given the space to be rejected, because in business you have to experience that, so that you gain tough skin. I don't know if I said it right, but so that you get thick skin. You learn to know that you can always bounce back. You learn to be resourceful. You learn to work with people. You learn all these other things, and I think, granted, we did learn some of those lessons in varsity. Yes.
Yeah, I think that is something that we have in common. I was expecting, to be honest, when we started, I was expecting that those people are gonna maybe they're gonna give us some allowance so that we can be able to start up our own companies and be active, like get into the field and do things. Yeah. But I think when I was doing my, I think it was second year. That's when I started my own company. Yeah. Okay, and then there's something that I want you to speak about. Like Mark Zuckerberg, the business environment that is in the States, right? And then there's the business environment that is in Africa, that is in Botswana. So I would like to know, do you appreciate the fact that you can learn more from someone, they actually practice business more environment than someone who comes from the outside? Probably get the fact that, let's say, for example, the entrepreneurship course that we did, most of them that we were given examples out where they were coming from, where they're coming from the States and everything. But some of those things, some of those lessons and principles, they don't really necessarily apply. Of course, some of them apply, but some of them don't necessarily apply here, more environment there in Africa. So is there something that you can say about that?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Actually, I think that's a great point because I think I was having a conversation with DJK on Deep Dive, and he said, no, I was actually not having a conversation. I did have the conversation with him, but it was off cam. But I when researching him to bring him onto the show, he said something like that. He was wearing like a purple suit. He said something like that because if you look at us, we only gained independence 1966, right? America. When we had our fourth president, America had its 44th. If I'm not mistaken. So when you look at that, they're ahead in terms of advancement settings. So Bob Mark Zuckerberg are building off of a lot of guys. Bo Andrew Carnegie, Bo Rockefeller. They're building off of a lot of guys, although it might not be direct. But because those people were in the same country, they saw what these guys were doing. They saw what they were able to achieve in the same land. So there is a certain sense that they learned from those. There are some lessons, there's some best practices that were there. So mo Africa, this is when we actually, a lot of us are trailblazers, even from our own families. We're trailblazers, we're trying this thing anew. So we really can't compare our page 6 to somebody else's page 34 because it's gonna set us up for failure. We have to take principles that they used and apply them to us, because a principle is something that's tried and tested, and it's true no matter what. The sun is gonna rise in the morning at 6, it's gonna set in the evening at 6. For the last 6,000 years of recorded history, it's a principle. So we take the principles, but there are some practices they learn for burning in their environment may not necessarily translate to ours. And Lorona, we do have our own things. We do have our own business environment. Africa is ready. We have all that we need. We have all that we need right here. Not even in Africa. We have all that we need. Just me sitting down with guests every single Tuesday has opened my mind to so much that I never thought is there or even possible. We have all that we need. Africa. All we just need to do is continue learning these principles and continue improving and continue working with continue cultivating in what we are doing, in whatever craft we are. Continue cultivating those things that we are learning, and even just doing it more, because we need to start creating more Africa.
I remember someone once said that sometimes what about this guy Mark Zuckerberg dropped out of school, and then he's successful, big guys, successful. And then come think of it, those guys they drop from Harvard. Yeah. Not just some university.
Not just some, yeah.
And maybe the funny thing, I think I read the stories about, I think it was Jeff Bezos. So some of them, they didn't go to college, but I remember Jeff Bezos, his father, he had connections. So he connected, and then he told his father about the idea that he had. I think it's him, yeah. He told his father about the idea that he had. And then his father, he helped him to find an investor.
Yeah.
So you see how things were.
Yeah.
Yeah, and another volume, you come from Kostanti, Kubak.
That sounded bad when you said it. Yeah.
And then okay, I want to drop out of university. Yeah. And I want to start my own business.
Yeah.
That is the case that happens mostly. People say they're looking at those stories. Those guys, when I see on Facebook, he wasn't dropping out of university to start just a normal business.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether do you have something to say about that?
Yeah.
About Kanya's girl at that.
Kanya's girl.
Wanted to drop out of school to start their own businesses. Yeah.
I don't know. I think for people, now I tried many times, but I couldn't drop out. I needed the allowance. But I would have. Also, it was also just respect for my parents, because my parents put me through school. They put me through private school. They sacrificed a lot of their own,
True.
because they invested a lot into me and my sisters. So I think I owed it to them to just finish and do it, because and that's enough from standard 1 up to Form 5. This is a conversation I was having with myself. If it's like a similar UB, when I'm just left with 4 years, what is 4 years? So I just thought, let me just do this. It was one of the things that allowed me to pass. But like you're saying, Trump also got 1 million funding from his father. Gave him 1 million funding, and that's the goal we should be aspiring towards, because we're not always supposed to start from the beginning. My kids are not going to start from the beginning because of the work I've put in. The goal is not to start from the beginning, because what's the point if we're all going to be struggling generationally? There's no point. But to your point, we also have to understand this is Gates, this is Zuckerberg. These guys are intelligent, like more intelligent than the average person. If we were to just be very honest, those guys are very intelligent. Because I'm always telling people, you cannot talk about millionaires and billionaires and put them in the same sentence. Those guys are totally different. If I was to ask you right now, how long do you think it will take for you to count to 1 million right now?
Bit of some time.
How long do you think? Just basically, if you count 1, 2, 3 up to 1 million, how long do you think? How long do you think you would take generally? No, just 1 million. Just counting 1 million seconds.
Okay. Maybe I didn't get the question. How long do you think I'm gonna be able to make 1 million?
No.
Yeah.
Not how long. You probably make 1 million soon. But what I'm saying is, how long do you think it will take to count to 1 million? Like 1 million seconds. But I'm trying to put 1 million into perspective of how much 1 million is. And then I want to also put into perspective of how much 1 billion is. So to answer the question I'm asking, it will take 12 days to count to 1 million. If you were to just sit here for the next 12 days, you'd be counting.
Oh, like that. Okay, I get you.
So if I was to give you 1 pula for every second, that should show you how much 1 million is, right? And then when you think about 1 billion, how long do you think that would take? If it takes 12 days to come to 1 million, how long do you think 1 billion would take?
A long time.
Much long. I've not lived 1 billion seconds. You haven't lived 1 billion seconds. 1 billion seconds is about 32 years. So when you really think about 1 billion like that, when you put it into perspective like that, although it may not be a big thing, 1 billion is a lot. It's a lot for you to provide value. You have to be, a different kind of breed. Also, I think a lot of us don't really understand those guys and how they operate. There's a series I watched called Billions. There's a guy who stars in it. His character is Bobby Axelrod. There's an episode in there that kind of shows you how 1 billion is. I think it comes close. To be a billionaire, man, you have to, it's insane, because you are solving major problems. And what's even harder is that you could have had a big win today. Maybe you made like 2 billion today, and then you have a big loss at the same time, and you're able to handle those big issues, those 2 issues at the same time. Zuckerberg, all these guys, and these guys are not just like billionaires. These guys are the top of the top. They're above the 100 billion range. Well, look, it's insane, right? It's insane. If Jeff Bezos was to spend $1 million from the time of Jesus Christ up to now, he'd only lose like this much. It won't even touch. It will be nothing to his net worth right now. So 1 billion is that's why right now, Botswana, if you look at the companies Botswana, our company, maybe that's outside of Botswana, we Sprint Korea's loan, it's multinational now, it's in the UK. Because we just started, like going back to the same point I was making, because we just started, we will not have billionaires like that. But we are on the path. In the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, we can be the first ones to get there. The future is bright. That's the way I choose to think about it. But we also have to be not naive to think that we're just going to just get to that level like that.
And there's a point that you made. You spoke about those guys being in a league of their own, like they're very intelligent. So there's something that I've been thinking about. I've been asking myself how those guys are able, because most of the time, let's say for example, just an average Botswana person, over that was a business, for example. Someone will say, I want to start a catering business, I want to start a cleaning business, I want to start the business that would be normal, I want to start a clothing business and this and that and that. And then I'm like, okay, those guys they're inventors. You see what the ideas and what this guy Elon Musk put forward. Those guys the ideas that we do originally and they're exceptional. So I'm trying to look at it more pointing out. Sometimes why is it like Bafana Bali are the ones who are able to come up with those exceptional ideas than Rona?
Yeah. I also think, I read a book in university. Yeah, The Millionaire Fast Lane by MJ DeMarco. I really recommend this book for anybody in entrepreneurship. He talks about, there's an acronym he has. It's called NEXT. NECST. The first one is need, right? Obviously, you have to solve a great need. It used to be something that's a pain point to people. But it can be something that, if you really want to make a lot, it can be something that's just, a minor inconvenience. It's a need. It has to be something that people need, right? And then E is entry. Right now, or ranking, no one is going to tell us anything because the entry level is simple. You just go by. But entry that's simple does what? Increases competition because anybody can do it. And then control, which is the third. How easily can you control what you're doing? I had an online store on eBay. I was drop shipping. I'll take a product, it's just keep us out. It's a bar. It's Amazon. You're selling it $7. I take it. I put it on my store for $14 on eBay. When you buy it from me on eBay, I use your money, I use your address because you have to buy at an address to go and buy that product in Amazon, and then I put your address. Amazon ships you the product. When COVID hit, carriers were slow. Carriers started moving slow. eBay owns PayPal, so PayPal was I think eBay. If before the product arrives at the customer, eBay will not release the money to you. So I had to fulfill the money with my own money, and also look at the currency difference. So because I was not having control over my money, I got banned because on the store because I was selling. There were many refunds because the product would tell the store would the website I was buying from, they would say this product will arrive in X amount of time, but then it would not arrive in that time, and then people would ask for why is it arriving? Because of COVID, so things were slower. So I realized I didn't have control over the money. I had the need. The entry level, it wasn't bad, but there were many sellers on eBay. But because it's also a big pool, you could still stand out. And then the one I think is more relevant to your question is the S, the scalability and the pool you are serving. America has 300 million people, population, about 300 million. Botswana were 2.1 million. So obviously, Ronala just in Botswana, there's a niche market in America. You have 2.1 people. By Longkore, somebody is serving 2.1 people. The entire population of Botswana is just a niche market. So ours, there's that issue, ya scale. So although you can still make a lot of money with 2.1 million people, right? You're asking about why don't we have the idea I think it's because of all that thing. Because they had people. If you look at Rockefeller, if you just keep coming with the years, ideas just kept getting better and better with every revolution. With the fourth industrial revolution, where it's now AI. We've moved from technology to now AI. They are the first movers with it because we're listening to them, right? So they'll always be ahead of us because why don't we? The reason why I was saying, why don't we create our own things that serve our own people? And then once they see, hey, this thing is working great, more Africa, they come and then they learn it from us. And if they learn it from us, if they're coming to you to get it from you, if they are coming to you, then you are probably doing very well in whatever area that you are doing.
Yeah, no, I understand.
In whatever area you are in. So also look at China. China just from 1980 to China was like I think it was communist. China makes $1 billion every 2 days. China makes $1 billion. Also look at the population of China. The population of China is the Africa combined. So you realize that a lot of these things, even these multinational companies, okay, what's the bargaining power? Already just the population will also tell you that the bargaining power will be smaller.
McDonald's.
The bargaining power will be smaller. All these things will be what. But nonetheless, because the world is now a global village, we don't just have to cater for Botswana. We are catering for the world.
So I want to know, Mpho, why a podcast? Why did you decide to start a podcast out of all the things? Because before you answer, because something that I noticed about you is that this is something that you're passionate. Because I don't believe we would be doing it if you didn't have passion for it. Yeah, the consistency, it speaks volumes. The way you are consistent, the way you are producing something that is of quality. So I want to know why a podcast. Why did you decide to start that?
All right. The podcast. First of all, I'm a curious child, just from jump. So if you have to ask my parents, I asked them actually recently, or how was I growing up. I still think I'm like that to a great degree. I love asking questions. I think it's a great way of getting into somebody's mind because I like the way people think. Now, getting into podcasting, but the deep dive was started because I realized, first of all, the entrepreneurial journey is difficult and it's lonely. And we don't have enough stories out there of people like us that are doing it big. So I wanted to bring those stories and put them in the light so that people could come and experience them. So there's many reasons as to why, but that's kind of one of the main reasons. So the other reason is that, our mantra is, it is possible and it can be done. Every time I start the intro, it's in there. So that's what we're trying to show people. Because now we looked at people, the best way to impact the minds of people, to impact culture at scale, it's through powerful stories. So when you bring someone with a story, or you run through somebody's story, somebody's entrepreneurial journey, and I'm watching at home and I'm thinking, man, this guy on my laugh. I've probably seen him go real park, but he's doing these things. Why can't I do it? Right? Why can't I do it? Because that's why we started Deep Dive. It's to give people an empowering mindset. Because I think with that, even the world will know. It's not just for Botswana, but it's also for the world. That's why we're on YouTube. Because YouTube is putting us to the world. I've had people from what's this country, Finland, other places, reach out to me. We loved that episode. We didn't know people would do this in Botswana. And this is precisely why we do what we do. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's awesome. So, let's talk about Machankura now. So how much do you make through the podcast?
How much do I make? Hey. So, hey man, we're breaking the bank, man. We're breaking the bank. Like, hey, what about if you ban about tomorrow? I'm joking. But, podcasting, the way it is, first of all, Botswana, we're not monetized. We're not monetized on YouTube. But it's not a crime for you to reroute your channel to South Africa or to the nearest country where you are. It's not a crime, right? Because that's how it is. So now our channel is rerouted to South Africa. We have not yet reached 1,000 subs, but we're close to getting there. By our estimations, by next year March, we'll be there. And then you also need 4,000 watch hours to monetize. Bomegji have been reported to be making over about 300k. But our content is entertainment. And if you look at YouTube only cost per meal, like it pays cost per meal, and only RPM also. RPM is whereby, depending on what niche you are in, like business and finance are the highest paying RPM. So you can be making 40,000 views. You can be having 40,000 views on your channel, but you will make the same amount of money as someone who's having 500,000 views. Adira maybe vines and just comedy and whatever. But somehow the podcast right now, the way we monetize it right now, we have a live audience that comes every week. They pay to watch the videos, and we also work with a lot of the speakers that we shoot with. We do shootings for them. We do all these things for them with the equipment that we have. So it's not actually direct to Deep Dive, but right now we're already working with are collaborating with sponsors. We have people that are serving us with refreshments. We have people, we have Stambik that has, sponsored us with the venue, which we are very grateful for, and all these other things that will be coming into play. So that's kind of how we're doing it. The way content works is that you have to put in the work for a very long time for you to reap. But granted, I still benefit, or we still benefit indirectly. I'm called to give, talks, to give keynotes, paid to talk, and all these other things. And it also helps grow the brand. Even my own personal brand grows because of that.
Like plus the issue of networking also. Because the more you bring people,
definitely,
you network with them and stuff. Okay,
definitely,
that's awesome. So I want you to take me through the challenge, because I know we talk a lot about the podcast and everything, the challenges and everything. I already know, but I want you to tell me, to see those challenges to maybe someone who's listening. Maybe they could learn something from them. Challenges that you face during the shooting of the podcast, from the time that you started. Try to be brief, but from the time that you started up until now, and how sometimes you are able to tackle those challenges.
From the time we started, first of all, the first challenge that I experienced is I'm not tech savvy. I don't necessarily know how to shoot or record or anything of that, but I know what looks good. I know the levels that can be reached. I have a lot of people, like including you, that are in the space that I always refer to, right? So starting out, I didn't have a camera, I didn't have anything. So that was the challenge. So I had to find people that had those and bring them on. But also, that was 2021, we just graduated. So there was no allowance, there was no other money coming in, essentially. My tutoring company. So there was no money to do that. But when we started out, I told the gentleman that I was working with at that point in time, guys, this is the vision. This is where we're trying to go. Now I'm in the space to stay. I'm not going to be a fly-by-night type of guy. So I'm in the space to stay. This is how I want this. I want to make sure that I work with you guys in the long haul, if you guys are willing. And 1, 2, 3. So I talked to them, and then we set an agreement, and then we started shooting. But because I was not essentially paying them monetary-wise, I could not do it for too long. Right, because mister, because I also couldn't push them too much, right? And this year, I got a new team. Although there's a member from the previous team that we're working with, got new team members. We started shooting. We started going to YouTube. We started having all these things come into play. I realized that a lot of these things are just limiting beliefs. You don't need to have anything to start. You need to know the people that have what you need and find how you can serve them. And then that's it. And then you go about it. But the number one thing is consistency. Last year, when we stopped come May, and then when we started this year, February, the numbers were not the same, because the content is so many people are creating content. There was a study in America that showed that 90% of Gen Zs are consuming content made by creators. So they're no longer watching the news. I hardly even watch TV. I only watch football. I only watch menu. To be honest. Hey, but we're better than us now. I know this is going to be getting controversial, but whatever. So although Arsenal is above us. but yeah, so that was that. I even lost my line of thought. But that was that, right? Content is the next thing. Content is the next thing. There are always challenges. There are challenges with when you deal with people. But I think if you're upfront with people from the beginning, you tell them the vision, you tell them how things are going to work, and you show up every day. As long as you just show up, Mudimulene will make sure. Mudimulene wa tsena mo teng, and wa go thusa to go far.
Okay. So I want you to, we don't have much time. I want you to give out a word of, but I think you already did, to content creator. Because like you said, most people right now never lose a hope in the content creation space. Because YouTube cannot be monetized. Even some things on Instagram you get there, you cannot do something, music is not available in the region and stuff like
Yes.
that.
Hey, homo.
And we have gang content creators. So some of them that are not creating now, they're looking for other ways to make money and stuff like that because of those small issues. So maybe we could just give a word of advice to them.
Content creators.
Yeah.
Or to people that want to create content. Or both.
Both.
Okay. I think to content creators, number one thing is just find your voice. That's something that I'm also trying to find. This is something that I'm, consistently working towards. Find your voice. Find who you are. Find that thing that fires you up, the fire in your bones when you're by yourself. Because I was telling people, for me to run the podcast for these years, I've never taken one puller from the podcast. We've had people, we've had Eatwell, not even now. We have the audience that pays every week to come through. I've never even taken one puller from it. I'm willing to go 5 years without even making money from the podcast because I love it. Right? I could just do it. So find that thing, But I think for many people, we don't necessarily have to force. A lot of content is not like video content is not your thing. Maybe you're a writer. Maybe you are just somebody who's going to be a podcaster. Post a video. You just go on Spotify and Google and maybe that's you. But create content one way or another, because content. This is what I'm always asking people. How much would you pay, Raymond? How much would you pay to have 20 or 100 hours of footage of your great grandfather? Just a camera day in, day out. How much would you pay for that content? You'd pay a lot, right? So I think we have a duty. I think I do have a duty to my grandchildren, my great grandchildren. They need to know who started this empire. They need to know who this guy was, because as you are watching, you'll be like, this is why I'm like this. When you're watching your grandfather, this is why I'm like this. This is why I do this. This is why I'm this guy. Because of content. Because content will live well after you're dead. Well after we're gone. Content will be there. But also, content is what introduces us to the world. Nowadays, it's very weird for you to be with somebody. Is doing something you like. And you get that name, immediately I'm a search. If you don't have digital footprint, it's difficult. That's also why, a lot of businesses are leaving money on the table because they don't have digital footprint. But there's a very small market, they may not necessarily need digital footprint. But the overwhelming majority need digital footprint. Content is the game. No matter what you do, find a way to create content about something you like. Something, just go into just look at your YouTube, the videos you watch all the time. All the videos, go to your history. All the videos you are watching, it's definitely something you're interested in. And it's also definitely something you're knowledgeable on. Anything that you're decently knowledgeable on, you don't have to be perfect. Hey.
Yeah, that's very awesome. And then the last word that I'd also like you to give the last word to entrepreneurs, because this thing, content creation is also entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Podcast is also entrepreneurship. You need to have the heart of an entrepreneur and stuff like that. So what word can you put out to them?
Yeah, no, this is a big one. Yeah. I think also because I'm I don't consider myself a great entrepreneur yet, because I still think there's a lot of dues I still need to pay, to get to the point I want. But just in the little journey that I've had, I think number one, as an entrepreneur, you just need to choose. I'm doing the podcasting and I'm also doing the business, right? I love them both, right? But I got to a point that it's draining. It's very hard. It's very hard. Every day, every single day, half 8. It's difficult to even talk to people. I'm a guy. I want to talk to ladies. I want to talk to my friends. I want to talk to whoever. It's difficult to have those things. But I think enough for me is just find something that lights you on fire. That's once you have found it, you're on the right path. And everybody has it. One way or another, everybody has it. Find that thing that lights you on fire, because it's already difficult enough doing something you love. Now imagine you don't do something you don't love. It's already difficult. And then number two, I think you have to be a solid individual. be solid. Be solid, I mean be authentic in who you are, online, offline. A lot of us portray a lot of stuff online. When we meet, or when you're offline, we're not the same people. Be solid also means having integrity. Say what you say, say what you mean, and mean what you say. Walk your talk. Walk the talk that you always give. Because over a long period of time, no matter who you are, you will develop, people will know you for this. You will develop this character. You will develop this identity, right? And even if you were great, even if you have, thousands of followers, but you are cheating, or you are doing something, or you don't treat your team well, right? I'm very grateful for the guys that I work with, my team. But deep dive, I'm also grateful for my team, but Vinci Tutoring Academy. I couldn't do it without them. If you are a terrible, leader, you somewhere, somehow, you're not doing things right, it will stack up. Over a long period of time, it will come and bite you, right? So be authentic, be solid, and say what you mean and mean what you say. I think the last thing, give yourself time. I don't know who said this. It's a quote I've read. We overestimate what we can do in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in 10 years. I think if we can stop looking at things in just a year or 2 years, and start looking things in a horizon of 5-10 years, you're operating on a different plane, and you will be content with where you are, because you'll know what, as long as you are not going to leave, you'll win one day. It doesn't matter how, but as long as you're gonna keep showing up consistently and you're relentlessly improving, you will win. I think that's really the thing saying what it is.
That's powerful. That's really powerful. We've come to the end of our podcast, and I won't be saying that the conclusion Mpho is going to be doing it.
This man is putting me on the spot for the 5th time.
I can do the introduction. Why should I conclude?
What do you want me to say?
I don't know anything. We are about that.
Where you can find?
They can find you.
Okay.
Not only you, but also me, the both of us. And
all right.
The conclusion.
All right. This gentleman is Raymond Mapena, Raymaps Media, Raymaps Photography. I think that's where he's found. He's on LinkedIn, he's on Twitter, he's on TikTok too, he's on Facebook, YouTube, all these 5 platforms. I think my name, Mpho Mutaurirwa. Mutaurirwa is Mutaurirwa. You can find me on Facebook. I have a Facebook page there. You can find me on Instagram, same name. You can find me on Twitter. I just started a Twitter account, guys, so please follow me. I have like 8 followers. So, and then TikTok, I don't have a TikTok, but the rest is just deep dive. TikTok is deep dive sessions, Instagram deep dive sessions, YouTube deep dive sessions, Facebook deep dive sessions. And then Vinci Tutoring Academy, it's only on Facebook. But most of our content we don't actually have a lot of content on the Facebook. Yeah, it's almost dead. But we're resuscitating it. We have a new content strategy for our Facebook. So I'm very excited about that. But yeah, I guess this brings us to a wrap of today's episode.
You're good at condition introductions. I know you're a podcaster, so you're good at this thing.
Yeah, man, but like I'm there's a lot going on in my mind at the same time when I'm trying to speak. So I don't even know how you end things. Normally I end them by saying, we'll meet same time, same place, be great. So yeah, I guess we'll meet same time, same place, be great.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. you.